skates. Aliens modified, meant for mapes. Hitler faked his death and then escaped. Bigfoot and the Mothman. Son of Sam talking to dogs again. Witches, ghosts and goblins. Mysterious noise and hauntings. Dark arts in the skull and bones. Most celebrities are probably cloned. So if you're feeling all alone, crack a beer and get stoned. I welcome you to the podcast Strange Brew. We're here to entertain you. We're here to entertain you.
It's about to get strange.
I'll never get over Billy saying mysterious noise. Like his noise is, you fucking idiot. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome everybody back to the podcast. I am Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, and who am I joined by?
Spook Boy.
Spook Boy?
Yeah, I think that's my new one for a while. Spook Boy.
Okay. Sounds kind of racist, but I'll allow it.
Really?
A little bit, but or you could say like you're like a CIA agent, like a spook.
I think that's just your filthy mind.
It is. I have a filthy
We don't
mind.
have filthy minds like that in Ireland.
And welcome.
Hey, Jose. Yeah, listen to this was coming. You know what it is? What? It's Strange Brew Podcast.
Let's hope this video gets out there, because I swore in the first like 2 seconds of the recording, so I don't think YouTube likes that very much. I understand that. Like, someone needs to develop, there's Rumble and BitChute, and we're on there for everybody. I just saw a comment on Rumble where someone was like, "Glad to see you guys on Rumble." So I was like, "That's cool." So if you wanted more there's more uncensored content on there, kind of. And if we ever lose for some reason the YouTube, everything will be up on there. But there's something that like these platforms need to grow and get bigger than YouTube, and more people need to use them, and they need to have an app. Like I've told you that off air. Is like they need to have an app, so then you can cast it to your TV and you can watch stuff on BitChute or especially Rumble, because they seem to be a big dog in this fight to, have a better, different platform, uncensored, than YouTube and its heavily regulated censorship bullshit.
It's strange because at one point their Rumble seemed like they were making moves to like take over everything, and then it just all kind of like quieting down again. And I haven't really heard much about Rumble since.
No, it's weird. I don't understand. But there's so many people out there. Like there is, like someone like that misogynist Andrew Tate. I like some of the stuff he says, but he definitely does not like women. In my point of view, he needs to put he got all this money. Maybe he doesn't have after he spent them all on lawyers, but like someone like that, like even like Conor McGregor. How much money does that guy have? Come on, make a fucking app, bro.
Literally ridiculous amounts of money.
Just be like, I want this done this way, and like Conor McGregor, if you're out there, I'll help you design it. So shout me out.
I'm actually surprised that somebody like that hasn't done, like somebody who's a little bit unhinged that just has like unlimited resources.
Why not have like because you could brand, I don't know, there's a way to brand it and make it really interactive and better than YouTube, and then draw people towards it because it would have a big name on it, but who knows? Let's hope.
Yeah, like surely you could make something that's like, I don't want to say a YouTube clone, but like it has that aspect, but you could also bring like a social platform into it as well, kind of.
Yeah, well, I guess technically Elon Musk is trying to do that with now X. I noticed that my Twitter changed to X, and everyone that is listening, you can go follow us at Real Strange Brew on Twitter. I'm trying to be a little more active. I created an account, X now, I guess. It's Twitter, but like you can still find it that way, but it's called X. But the sign, if you put the two symbols together, like if you duplicate the symbol and put it next to each other, kind of looks like a Freemasonic symbol. A little strange there, Elon. But then people are like, well, he's always had the X. He's been doing this for a while.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's just weird. And its symbolism is a huge thing and registers in our subconscious. And I think they do this on purpose. And we'll get into it on a very deep conspiracy episode. We have a bunch of stuff coming for everybody. We got so much cum. It's stored up in our ball sacks, in our testicles.
We're
those things that make men.
We're storing it up for the doomsday.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff coming.
So we're going to be dragging two big, massive ball bags around full of cum for the next like 5 years when the world starts to end.
Yeah, I have plans. So especially because me and Aaron are very much on the same page, and not saying that like Billy or like the Reverend Kaiju dig it. Anton's kind of on a different political viewpoint than I am. But like, Billy's kind of like, nah, I can't do anything about it. I just want to drink my beer and live my life as an alcoholic. Sorry, really, but like he doesn't care as much as I do about paying attention to all the stuff that's going on. He just wants to live his life and work, and I understand that, right? But me and you are very much on the exact same wavelength of thought processes and who we are, and it's I said to my buddy that was over for a fire. We watched Friday the 13th Part 4, my favorite, and it had a fire. And I was talking about you, and I was like, it is weird that like we're so much alike, but you're on the other side of the world.
It is kind of bizarre when you think about it. Like you would imagine that having well, I say two different, completely different life experiences, were way more similar than you would think as well. I don't think a lot of
You're on
people
different
realize that.
sides of the world.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
like different sides of the planet. Like we're what, 6, 7 hours apart on a
yeah,
flight,
yeah.
but somehow have kind of nearly lived like the exact same like mirror life.
Yeah, it's so
It's
weird.
bizarre.
And there's so much stuff. I'm really excited for everybody who listens to Class Horrorcast and this show, because we do have like we're able to branch into kind of both worlds of our podcast shows. But there's a lot of conspiracy stuff that I do want to cover. Conspiracy quotations, the truth about what's going on, or at least theories about said things that are happening and in the works and have been in the works for a very long time. So, and me and Aaron plan to cover a bunch of those big topics. I have tons and tons of ideas of stuff to kind of break down, like, even getting into the New World Order, because we've done the Bilderberg group and eventually like dive back into the Illuminati. We did an episode way back in the day, but it's been since X'd. So I want to kind of bring all that stuff back and really do my research. And I've been doing some big reptilian research for going on Juan's show. So I've been balls deep in the reptilian lore.
For anybody who doesn't, I don't know how much you can talk about or are willing to talk about, but what is the topic going to be specifically?
So we're going to branch off and do the kind of the basics, so people have a great understanding of what it's really about. But I have found some stuff that like I knew, but I think most people, it's like, oh yeah, lizard people that control the globe, and are from either on a different frequency, residency, or like from a different planet. But I found some stuff about our history, and it goes even deeper. Where I saved articles, what we're gonna do on this show, that is more in depth into the reptilian lore and what is going on. It's gonna be fairly fascinating because, like I said to Juan, there's a lot to it, and it would be like 5 hours to even get just like the entire basic idea down. So we're gonna kind of stick to informing people, but not we're dancing that line of not going down the rabbit hole too much. Where like we'll just basically say, yeah, they like red stuff, because we wanted to go on YouTube and stuff like that. So it's like you can't mention some of the very darker aspects of the whole lore and conspiracy surrounding the lizard people.
I think it's good, and it's not to like I love David Icke
Yeah.
personally, but I think it would be good to have maybe you guys breaking it down into more like regular person terms, because sometimes
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think if you haven't been exposed to David Icke or you don't really know what he's about, it can be quite jarring as like a regular person to hear him being like, they're this and like just coming out with these like outlandish theories. I think some people get turned off by that.
100%. And that's why if you see him on certain interviews, he tries to, on London Real, he's trying to bring it back a bit and talk more about the physical aspects of like the plan that is supposedly in the works right now. And once you realize how what's going on and the things that are happening on this earth are not a coincidence, and they're like, I don't know, once you dip your toe into the conspiracy world, you fall down that rabbit hole. And the fact that the government is now admitting that aliens exist while showing us absolutely no evidence shows to me that they're using it for their agenda. And I feel like that's what I'm saying about we will eventually be sneaking in like maybe ran episodes and stuff to break down what I think is going on and what you think and our opinions, like we did with the UFO real aliens, or is it a psyop episode, or indoctrination of identity politics episode, stuff like that, where I want to slip in some of those just for the fans. And there's been some people that have liked those episodes a lot, so there's works to talk about some more obscure, weird stuff, and hopefully it doesn't get taken down off YouTube.
You're going to get canceled.
Yeah, so for the Native Americans of Pine Ridge, South Dakota, there are many issues facing their community. Unfortunately, one of those issues is group suicide. It has been particularly bad in the recent years. Group suicide, eh? Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's fucking tasteless, but because of a long-standing legend and stories, these mysterious suicides in South Dakota have sometimes been attributed to a malicious spirit. It is kind of weird to unalive yourself in a group. It's kind of like that's not a lot of people do that, unless you're like, oh, we have a blood pack. If one of us dies, we all die. Yeah.
I never understood that, but again, like, I don't know what some of these, like, if these people are fucking mentally ill or what it is.
Yeah, who knows? A lot of people mentally ill nowadays. Because of this long-standing legend stories, obviously there's all these mysterious suicides that have been happening in South Dakota, and it is a tribute to some sort of evil demonic spirit. He is called Walking Sam. And while the name may sound harmless, the being that embodies it is anything but. The Walking Sam, the Shadow Man. The Walking Sam, the Shadow Man. Shout out that band, the Ghost Crimson or some shit. Go look that shit up. I asked them if we could use the song at the end of this episode, so we'll see if they reply back, because they're not a huge band. They have like over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So, but they had a song, kind of like a alternate rock song.
You could surely make a rap.
I could.
Titled Walking Sam Shadow Man.
I'm trying to get through some of my more very controversial songs. I'm almost done this one about like kind of uniting people, but also I called out a bunch of stuff about the left side and just people in general being hypocrites and stuff. But once I get that, I have a cryptid song that I have in the works. I've had in the works for a while, and it's kind of like it's like a weird, dirty, like kind of jokey cryptid song. And I'm using a very famous beat, and eventually I'll probably have to like get my own beat for it, but I'm using the night call beat. Giving you a night call. But it's very fun. It's called the Party of Cryptids. I'm close to being done. It's just hard fitting in. I'm trying to fit in like every cryptid I can think of.
When can we expect that one?
I've been saying I wanted to put out for a while, but I forgot about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I gotta finish this shit. Because at first I had it almost written out, and then my dog ripped apart my rhyme book. Luckily, I only had like 3 or 4 songs in my new book. He ripped it apart, so I didn't have it. But it's funny to say the least. There's a lot of weird shit in it that I put in. But we'll I think I said something about Dover Demon covered in semen. There's like really weird lines.
Nice.
Okay, it's something like that. I can't remember what actually, but I have debates to do. I'm gonna do a song eventually about like the Party of Cryptids. I want to do a song about like urban legends or something like that. But I especially want to do a song, which I've wanted to do for a while, is do it in a point of view of a serial killer, and then kind of talk about a bunch of different serial killer stuff. But I'm also working on a song for First Class Horror, so that should be fun.
You're a man of many talents.
Yes, I am, but it didn't take me anywhere. Spent my teenage years being a fucking asshole and a drunken idiot, so it didn't really help too much.
You got really good self-awareness, though.
I do. So, Walking Sam, the Shadow Man, I like that. That convinces teens to commit suicide by whispering to them that they are worthless, not deserving of any life or affection.
That's who's been talking to me.
Aaron, you fucking piece of shit. You're worthless. You're a stupid Irish drunk. You're dumb.
You bitch.
Yeah.
You drink cans of moobs, you bitch.
This is like telling you the worst things about you.
That's who's been talking to me then, so I'm not actually mentally ill. It's just the Walking Sam is talking to me.
Don't look down, you'll see a tiny penis when you're in the shower. Don't you hate yourself? It's so funny because it's like what? Because this thing is I said it's. I watched the video. I was like, "What? Doing what the government does? Just telling you, like, you're worthless. You don't. You're a racist. You're a homophobic, misogynist, anti-Semitic hater. You know, it's just like what they're like. What they do to people is they make you feel worthless, and especially during the last couple years." In my country, I'm sure in your country and countries across the world, the government was literally shaming people into getting a medical experiment and shaming them in like horrific ways that made people like, I'm sure that there's some people out there that did unalive themselves in ways because of the stuff that the government was doing. I'm quite sure of it. And, we did see an uptick in unaliving people unaliving themselves during that time anyway. But then your government's like, yeah, if you don't get this vaccine, you're a full-blown racist. And the guy's like, I'm black though.
Ireland has a massive suicide problem, actually.
Yeah. Well, think about it. It's a way if you demoralize people and you get them to live in a state of depression and unhappiness, and then only offer pharmaceutical drugs and stuff like that also lead down a darker path of said depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. It will end up leading you down because some of those drugs end up making you worse, and it's kind of like population control in itself. The same way wars are, Send a bunch of people off war to die. And it's like, sweet, we just lost a couple thousand people, bringing the population down. Perfect,
Like we've had I think our rates, let me see here. Overall suicide rates of 11 per 100,000. And the male suicide rate is 17.6 per 100,000. So let me see.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, if we go to
according to the government, not enough. So I'm a ray of sunshine on these episodes, aren't I?
In the first quarter of 2023, we have had 191 deaths that were registered as suicides or intentional self-harm. Now that's in a small island that consists of less than 5 million people.
Oh man, I wish I put this over your neck.
My neck?
That would have been fucking funny.
As I was talking about that.
Yeah, slowly going around. I don't know if you were going to, since we're gonna get into this, we should actually like dive into this episode because we always talk
about other shit.
We ramble for the first like 10 minutes. If you were to unalive yourself, because I'm trying to dance that fine line of saying it a little bit but not too much, what would be your method?
Because I've probably actually thought about this before. I don't know. Like, I feel like...
Would you asphyxiate yourself in a car? Would you jerk off while autoerotic asphyxiation? Would you do that? Like in that movie Worst Dad or whatever? World's Greatest Dad.
I actually don't know. Like, I feel like hanging yourself is probably like the most common one, but I don't know.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain myself. Wait,
yeah.
Courtney Love.
Yeah, well, see, actually, no, I could probably get my hands on a gun. Yeah, that would probably be the best.
You just got to do it right. Because if you do it wrong, you're going to be living
like half ahead.
Life. Yeah, and I've known people that have hung themselves. So it's sad.
Same.
It's very sad. And it's not someone I knew, but one of my close buddies, his like best friend, hung himself in a park. And they like found like it was scary shit, like just like horrible, miserable. And my buddy was like very addicted to coke at one point, and he was one of the servers, and I was a cook or whatever. I'm not going to mention names or anything like that, but he was a good friend of mine, and he was just going down a dark path. He's better now, he one day he was like just, I guess I can call it chotching, just like he was just out of his mind on coke, and he was like crying in the back during like a shift, and just talking about his friend, and stuff like that, and he's like, they thought we were gay. And he wasn't at all. This guy like got women, but he's like, because their close friendship is like his mom thought we were gay and stuff. And it's just like, and this kid just like, it was out of nowhere. A lot of times, especially with men, you don't tell anybody, and it's you can't even tell. And the thing is that people have to understand that men are more likely to commit suicide to outlive themselves if they don't feel they have purpose. It's not because they're sad or they're depressed. Most men, at least statistically speaking, it's because they don't feel like they have a purpose in life. And we went from this decades ago, 100 years ago, where men were like, we had a purpose. We would protect the women and children, and we'd fight in wars, even though I don't agree. Every war has been orchestrated by the Rothschilds and these people in power. But I just want to make that point is like, we used to have more worth. You were protective, and, you like hunted for food, and you built shelters and all that stuff. And now we've become so conditioned by technology. It's just,
it's like you have guys who were
balanced.
I had a really good friend when I was in like I guess high school, and he was with a chick for like the entire like years and years and years, and they were like, it's that thing I suppose that a lot of people do, where he made his whole life about her,
Yeah.
only to find out then that she splits up with him and she's like gets with somebody else like pretty quick.
Yeah.
And they had like a thing in the back of their house where like he would like work on cars and stuff with his dad.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like they call him like one evening, they're like, dinner or whatever, come in, it's dinner time. He doesn't come up, so they send his younger brother, like, can you go down and get him? So he's like, yeah, cool. Goes down and he's swinging from the rafters in the shed.
That's so fucked up.
And it was like essentially it was all over this chick.
It's crazy because my mom, one of her good friends, Terry, hung himself in his garage, and then they used the Ouija board attempting to talk to him. And when I've said this story before, but when they mentioned his parents, the shot glass flew across the room and like shattered.
I would shit my pants.
Need more friends with wings.
I would shit if that happened to me.
No, put concrete in my veins. I just remember that video because it's like it shows all this, like the kid is like going to the car and then doing it. That sounds kind of peaceful too. You use like the admissions from the cars, and then you just you go to sleep forever.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make light of this fucking shit. I don't know what else to do in these situations where it's sad and dark, and it's like one of my cousin that was supposed he had the potential to be like a fairly decent Christian rapper, and his friend got fairly big, and his friend tours all over the world now and makes some decent money and actually lives off it. And my cousin like taught him how to rap and all this stuff, and he found his like dad. Like hung himself. He has a song about it, like "Where Are You" and shit. Like it's called "Where Are You," and essentially just going into like, why did you leave kind of shit. And it's a sad song because it's like I think pretty sure he's the one that found him and it fucked him up. And I think like I'm pretty sure my cousin said like magic mushrooms helped him. Because my cousin's super Christian. He's like, I've drank once in my life. I never smoked weed, but he's like, I took mushrooms a couple times, changed my life.
I that's the only thing I ever hear back about people when they take mushrooms.
Yeah, it's true. It changed my life. We gotta get you on that train. So
I know, right?
Well, you come here and we'll do some I'll dress up like a shaman and I'll like beat you with leaves and stuff like that.
You'll bring me out there and it'll be like, and I actually only watched it the other day. I reference this movie all the time and I can never think of the name of it. A24. Oh, they bring him out to Sweden or Finland.
The Ritual?
No, with the fucking chick.
The cult leader shit. We have to Midsommar.
Yeah.
We need to cover that so we can because I would love to cover. That would have been a good episode for this summer, but we'll see if we can put that in the works because I feel like we're at good pace right now.
That's such a good movie. I never get sick of that.
Ending,
such a wild movie.
I have to
movie.
rewatch it because that ending got me. So who knows? Obviously, keep your ears peeled.
Stuff where he's eating like the fucking pubes pie.
Oh yeah, ew. Keep your ears peeled for on Class Horrorcast. But yeah, no, it'd be like that. I'll feed you my pubes, and you'll think it's a delicious salad.
you have me out in the woods somewhere, and you and Billy and I'll have me tied to a tree after giving me shit tons of mushrooms, and you're feeding me pubes.
Billy would be just drunk, and he'd be like, "I'm not seeing what you're seeing." I'm like, "Look, he's a bear. Run, free bear. Okay, that's so stupid. Let's get back to this. So while we don't know much about this spirit because those in the tribe keep his stories quiet, we do know that his existence supposedly brings on a lot of suicides, whether it's supernatural caused or not. Suicide has been growing problem in Native Americans of South Dakota. And I think it's been a big problem all over the world in many communities, but then you have a community where, like, I grew up with indigenous friends and stuff like that, and it's like it almost becomes sheltered when they're on the reserve and stuff like that. And then like people know this, that when the Spaniards and the English or whatever brought over alcohol, they never had alcohol like that or had alcohol at all, I think, and it like caused caused they would get drunk very easily and stuff like that. And I think that was able for the Spaniards and the all the conquerors, the colonists, as the people like to call me because I'm white, come over here and they like fed them alcohol and obviously like manipulated them in some way. But like I've seen like it's sad, and I don't want to say too much obviously because like people would get mad, but like there's some parts of the community that kind of just let it go unchecked. And I knew a lot of friends that I grew up with that were indigenous that like were alcoholics that like drank way too much, got involved in drugs and like stealing cars and doing stupid shit. And because they feel like they don't have an outlet, and there's good things and bad things about living on a reserve. And I think that they deserve their own land. But also there's issues with what's going on. Like the elders who, way back in the day, would probably be like rolling in their graves for some of the stuff that goes on.
Yeah, I could only imagine.
No, I mean, just like that's why I want people to have understanding that I do understand that culture and to an extent, and it's one culture that I actually am fascinated by and love the indigenous like folklore and history and the idea that there is souls and spirit and everything, because I believe that just consuming mushrooms, and like I would love to try peyote and stuff. It's like getting just dusted out in the forest.
A lot of spooky stuff though around that culture.
Yeah, I know, and they believe in a lot of, and we'll get back to it because we did a native folklore episode way back in the day. Me and Billy had fun on it, but there was a lot of weird folklore that we brought up in that episode, but there's even more. Eventually, we'll have to get to the Skinwalker. I've been sending you videos and seeing some weird stuff on TikTok about some of that shit, and it's freaky to say the least. No matter if you believe in this sort of cursed place, if there's an evil spirit, or if it's simply a drastic issue of mental health, and obviously like maybe a social problem of maybe oppression, and that's what I want to make people aware of, right? It's like school nowadays is teaching kids, some schools, but mostly public schools, teaching that there's the oppressor and then there's the victims. So they use this all the time of like white people have been oppressing black people for this long, and they keep people in perpetual division all the time. And then people have this victim mentality of like, I can't do anything better because I'm black or whatever you are, indigenous, or even, and now it's like, or you can be super, super racist against white people and say like outlandish shit. But if it was reversed, you would be destroyed in the media and canceled and all that stuff. So this is what I always point to is everyone is a fucking hypocrite, especially people within politics. Oh, we want to lock you down for climate change, and that's supposed to be coming soon, or we want you to do this, or look what happened during COVID and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you can't go for a party, you can't see your parents, and then all the elites are having fucking extravagant parties, wearing weird masks, fucking each other in goat costumes, all that fun jazz.
It should be more evident than ever now after COVID, to be honest.
And that's why I like not everyone likes Andrew Tate. I like some of the things he says, but I don't like all of his opinions, and how he's like, if COVID hasn't woke you up, I don't know what will. If you haven't awakened to the truth that the government doesn't like you, it doesn't.
And like he even talked about it to like to his own extent. I guess he was like, I have millions of dollars. I didn't have to fucking like sit around and grovel and beg to travel or beg. I done whatever I wanted to do. So that's the difference between like everybody else and then like the elite or people with shit tons of money. He was like, there is a difference, and anyone who doesn't think that is a fucking idiot.
And when we get to our Doomsday Prepper episode, which I'm going to start prepping very soon, I'm going to get into a lot of things about what I think about the elites and what they think about us. Because I think that they want to get rid of a lot of us. And then so they can live in their ivory towers and they can have a few groveling plebs to fucking do their work for them.
You know what I always picture? It's like that shit from Mad Max, and you have
The
what's
guy
his name?
ba-
Yeah, and you have the
banging the
dude.
drums.
Was he like Immortal Joe or whatever the fuck his
Yeah.
name is? The big bad guy,
Yeah.
and like he's standing on top of that cliff, and like everyone's begging for water, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll turn on the water for
Oh,
like
yeah,
10
yeah.
seconds."
Yeah. Well, it's in we talk about this because it's relevant because of what's going on in the world in both our countries. But it's like the idea of like, I want to do a video about this so people understood and get the actual right context. But it's when like Joseph Stalin like picked the chicken clean and tortured it and then still fed it and it still came back to him groveling to get like feed out of his hand. And it's like you can destroy a person, but as long as you give them a little bit, they will still keep coming back. As long as you kind of kept them fed or whatever. I can't remember the whole analogy or what he says.
Yeah,
But
I know what you're
very,
talking
very,
about.
very true, and it kind of relates to that. So yeah, this is both the facts and the legend will make enough to make your blood run cold. Walking Sam is an ancient being, according to Native American lore, tied closely with the spirit known as the Stick Indians. And well, it's kind of funny because like in the States, a lot of indigenous people call themselves Indians, right? And now that's like racist or whatever. But there's like in America they use it more often than in Canada. We say like natives or indigenous or whatever. And then people get mad if you use the word Indian, but there is still a lot of native tribes and stuff like that, or that live in the States that use the word Indian.
So I've been thinking about this for like the last 10 minutes, and I was like, should I ask this question, or is this like the dumbest fucking thing I've ever said? So I always heard of that like term
Yeah.
in the sense of being like, people would say, oh, cowboys and Indians.
Yeah. Do you know why?
So yeah, that's what I was just about to ask, is like, where did the Indian thing come from? Because then the other side of that is, like, obviously I've heard of that aspect of it, but then obviously, at least over like here and in Europe and stuff, like Indians are people from India.
So Columbus is raping, pillaging ass. When he showed up, he thought that he was in India.
Oh, cool.
That is supposedly what it is he thought they were from the Indians. That he thought they were from India. He thought that he sailed like
That
just like a
sounds
loop into the
kind of right.
yeah, and then it kind of like stuck, which is such a strange thing. But mostly, they called them savages because they didn't understand their way of life. And to be honest, where we are in the world, as long as I could podcast, you put it out to the world, I'd live in a fucking longhouse. And, they all work together and, live in these communities. But then people don't. I always say they forget that there was like tribes warring with each other, killing each other, doing horrible acts of violence to each other in a lot of ways, just because they thought something different than another tribe, and that's why tribalistic communities is inherently a human thing, but it's also not a good thing. And they have it even with politics. Look how divided people are. Like, it's crazy. And then people call someone like me, I'm a conservative, I'm a white supremacist, I'm a Trump supporter. I don't trust any government. I'm not even I don't even fucking align with any. I don't even vote. I voted once and didn't do anything. So I was like, fuck this. I'm not voting again. I voted once last year when they our prime minister did that random. He called an election in the middle of a pandemic, and everyone's like, "Why are you doing this?" But so he could gain more power, because he knew how to flip and play the system. And he didn't get the popular vote. Like, nobody voted for him. It was so low, but he still got in power because of places like Quebec and Ontario, that are like. It's big cities that end up ruling the vote. So all these immigrants that get pulled in that don't understand the country yet, and then they're like, "Oh, I'll vote for this guy. He was allowed me to come into this country." And then look at where we're at now. So
It's a clever move.
Yeah, they're not stupid. The people that are in power understand psychology, understand what they're doing to you and how they can manipulate you. And who knows, maybe this guy has something to do with it. It does remind me a lot of the Hat Man, because me and Shane covered that, and I was reading stuff about the Walking Sam, and it kind of reminds me of like the Hat Man, this like evil entity that consumes fear. You know?
I think my favorite name for him, I was listening to when I was driving back home earlier. I was listening to some sort of a YouTube video about it. My favorite term for him is the stovepipe hat Bigfoot.
Doesn't even make sense.
I know, yeah.
Doesn't make sense. I heard someone else that they called him Bigfoot too, and I was like, I don't even know why that even makes any
That's fucking
sense.
freaky.
Yeah. If this thing
That's actually
exists, like,
really freaky.
what if it does? What if people like, there's things that people manifest. Like eventually, I think it would be appropriate to talk about with Billy, and if we get you on, is obviously the Slender Man. Uh, Billy has to talk about it because on my bachelor party weekend,
Because he looks like him.
my buddy Brett kept calling him Slenderman and shit, and they were pretty ruthless on each other, calling each other names, and men being men, fucking causing each other to think bad things about themselves. It's great.
Or, hear me out. Was that just the walking Sam at work?
I know it's true. He's whispering in Billy's ear, but like, you skinny piece of shit. You should just unalive.
You Slender Man bitch.
You Slenderman bitch. So, stick Indians are shadow people or dark people. Well, racist. Even in childhood, children hear legends of these dark forces, demonic presence that will stalk reservations and try to lure unexpected victims to their doom. They have a cloud of death that hangs over them and follows them no matter who they are stalking. You may know if one is nearby because you will hear it whistling to you. That's creepy. I can only whistle. I can only suck in whistle.
Yeah, Sam. Like I can't whistle properly. Or when I see people do that thing where they go like,
I can't do that either. My
whatever.
grandma can do that. I can't do that. The loud whistle.
So I just wanted to bring something up
Yeah.
really quick, actually, when we're sort of on the topic of stuff like this. Have you ever heard of that short story that was on the No Sleep Reddit subreddit a couple of years back?
I've chosen not to even touch Reddit because I stumbled upon some shit. They're very There's a lot of communists on there. A lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Oh yeah, there's a shit ton of idiots on it. But there's a short story that was made by a guy called "My Wife and I Bought a Ranch," and it got so popular on Reddit and stuff that it actually got picked up by a distributor and it got made into a movie and it's going to come out on Netflix. I think they bought it for like millions of dollars. And basically, the story I just wanted to bring this up because it kind of ties into, I guess, similar stuff. The story centers around a couple who find their dream home in an Arizona mountain town. Unfortunately, they must deal with an unwelcome house guest in the form of a valley spirit. The supernatural menace manifests itself by appearing in different forms that start at each season of the year. To keep this at bay, the couple must adhere to a series of strict protocols, or else nasty things will begin to happen to them. This isn't a traditional ghost story. For a start, the entity in question is unexplainable. The locals say that it is a Native American curse. And then it goes into this whole bit. I kind of don't want to ruin it, right? But I never really read things like that on the internet or like short stories. Or I swear to God, dude, right? It's the most freaked out I've ever been reading something.
Really?
The most drawn in I have ever been by like just words on a page.
I know last night I was like watching scary videos. I was sending a bunch to you for like on TikTok or whatever. Cause I've all my accounts are political stuff, right? It's just like people trying to spread as much truth and awareness and sometimes lies and propaganda and stuff like that. But people are trying to spread awareness about what's going on. It's all about the elites and what is coming and Project Bluebeam and the World Economic Forum. So I created one just to have some fun on. And now it's like I've been liking a bunch of like scary ass videos. It's enjoyable because it reminds me of being young when you're a teenager and YouTube was actually kind of cool and you could find all these weird obscure videos and creepy number 5.
If I watch some of that stuff at night though, it scares the shit out of me.
I love it though. I kind of like
Creeps me
being
out.
scared like that.
Same.
Then, I don't know. It's the I've said this before. It's the fear. It's like an adrenaline kind of fear, which is not always good before bed. But it's like this idea that, nothing should be harming you. It's not like having a gun pointed at you and what that fear instills in people, but the fear that like, ooh, what's beyond this reality? What don't we know? All this stuff. And the fear of question kind of like questioning what is reality, right? I think these entities exist and stuff like that, and like Shane probably would enjoy talking. We'll have to do a threesome with Shane. We have talks to do it with First Class Horror, to do like a certain movie that I enjoyed that was about the Wendigo. But it would be interesting to see us, because he wants to bring us on his show and stuff too. So we'll have to do some, because something like this, where like some creepy folklore type thing.
I don't know if you see that every so often. My camera is like doing this weird flickering.
I thought that was your lights.
No, I don't. I don't know what that is. Every so often that starts happening. I've never seen
Weird.
that happen before.
I thought it was your lights. Like your lights were kind of like fading
No,
in
no,
and out. Like
no.
you changed mine to do that.
It's not anything. It's like
Yeah.
on this.
I tell you about what David Icke said about the 5G shit. So according to him, listen to him on Alex Jones' show. Just look up David Icke and Alex Jones. I can't say too much, but he said that it's when it's been turned on, it's creating this bridge from the darker realities, the lower vibration realities, and allowing these entities to come through. And that's why more and more people are starting to see weird shit and see more UFOs and alien stuff and dark creatures and shadows and all this stuff. And I said, like, at work, I keep thinking that somebody is walking by, or like I see somebody walk by and I look up, nobody's there. And then I told Anton about it. He said that him and his friends were also seeing the same kind of thing. And then a guy at work, I told my buddy, the other Aaron, about it, and he also said that he's seeing stuff like that he's noticed that. And I'm like, so strange.
Dun, dun, dun. We need a creepy. Yeah, that's pretty freaky.
It's just weird. I feel like because I didn't have that when I first started working there. And now it's like recently where I see it more and more often. It's not just at work, it's in other places too. And it's just like that idea that they exist on your peripheral. So we only see 10% of the visual spectrum, maybe even less. And so it's like you're seeing it out of your peripheral, because if you fixate on it, it disappears because it's not in this reality.
That's like that scene from fucking Insidious where they look in at the kid in the bed.
Yeah.
And like everything seems fine, and then the hand just comes out of the shadow.
What my
and
shadow person look like, man.
That's
Scared
like
the shit out of me.
pointing. That's fucking freaky. I
Does
think
that thing
I'd
look like
unalive myself.
Yeah, but it was bald and had like, and because it wasn't like what the thing looked like in the end, but that image, and I had it before the movie came out, and the image of him like pointing at the kid in the bed, it looked like that, but just a full body thing with like a bald head. And like, listen to our Shadow People episode for all the details on that, because I always bring this up, because there's something that like, it convinced me that there's something outside of this reality. I'm convinced that there is like dark entities. So if there's dark energies and entities that exist on lower vibrations, there's definitely good entities that exist on higher vibrations that have excelled past these physical forms. All right? It's fucking weird. So you may know he's nearby if he whistles. If you follow the whistle, which I would never do, these beings have the ability to paralyze you, hypnotize you, or simply drive you insane, which is a lot like Shadow People or the Hat Man. You know, this is a very similar, if you want to call it a cryptid or a paranormal entity. It's kind of this is very similar. That's why I was like, me and Shane just covered this. Let's talk about something semi-similar, but this is more of like a cryptid, so to speak. He's a weird looking dude too. He's like a mix of like the Hat Man and this one's weird. Some tribes still regard this being with such fear and respect that they do not speak of them. It's like not saying Voldemort's name. And thus in their full legend isn't known outside of their indigenous communities, which I would love to, like, I was ever in South Dakota, which I don't think I'll be, maybe one day, I don't know. If I choose to travel around the States, if I have enough money to do that, I would probably go check this out and be like, can you guys tell me your legend?
I'd love to do that.
We do, however, know that the Walking Sam is believed to be one of those beings, and he is the most powerful of them. So it's like it seems like they're talking about there's a bunch of different shadow people, but this guy is like the ring man, right, with his hat. He's like conducting the circus. Pretty weird. Circus of shadow people. Walking Sam.
Stovepipe hat.
Yeah. Is that it's so much a weird thing? It's Abraham Lincoln's ghost. It's like and all that. We'll talk about what he has on his body. Because it's like the souls of his victims, supposedly, but it's all the slaves that he let free. Stupid. I know what's funny. People are like, "Oh yeah, the Emancipation Proclamation, whatever." He like let all of the good for him, right? What he did, because I don't think human beings should own other human beings. I think that's fucked up and disgusting. But he wanted to send them all back to Africa. I was like, most people don't even know that. Abraham Lincoln was like, send them all back. And it's like, they've already lived here for how long? They don't have another life, dude. And he's like, well, don't they want to live over there, right? Isn't that where they came from? They want to go back because they were slaves. And he's like, they're like, no, they have no other
That's why
family
you
member
were
over there,
saying
right?
he was sounded like a pretty cool guy, and you wish we had someone like that in power right now.
He probably had a never mind. Yeah, we don't. He was
Uh
better
oh.
than others and stuff like that. But that tall, freakish man probably knocking out people with his penis, though. That guy was gay too. Abraham Lincoln was most likely gay because he never supposedly was with his wife in the bedroom, but he slept next to his homie all the time. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like there was something about
It's
him.
strange.
He was progressive for the time, maybe a little too progressive. Strange brew. So it is. Walking Sam is particularly malevolent compared to the other stick people, which is like just like even kind of creepy in general, because of the way he tried to get his victims. He will supposedly approach you and then find ways to tell you that you are not worthy of life. You feel the death in the air around you, and you hear voices in your head telling you no longer deserve to be alive. Stop eating those Cheetos, you piece of shit. Yeah, go drink that full fucking pop can. Oh yeah, chug a whole 2-liter Mountain Dew. Take those vaccines. It's so good for you. It will.
Why are you drinking that can of moobs?
Bill Gates loves you and wants you to be healthy. Make sure any product he has his name on you take. So weird. I think it's stupid shit to say. Okay. This will continue until he convinces you to take your own life. In particular, his favorite prey is young people, even children, who are particularly susceptible to his ploys because children are on a different frequency, right? The whole idea is that why they can see ghosts and stuff like that is because they're new to this planet. Even though they're not technically a new soul, they're a cleansed soul, right? That comes in fresh. So they still have a connection to that other realm, the realm where they came from, beyond this physical world, right? And I was listening to something that's fairly interesting. What was that? Was it? Maybe it was David. I don't know if it was David. Something interesting about. I was listening to Duncan Trussell and Joe Rogan. I love Duncan Trussell. I love their episodes. They always get dressed up. It's fun. And Duncan Trussell's thoughts mirror mine in a lot of ways. And I didn't know about him for a long time. And then I started watching their episodes. I was like, it's funny. They dress up or whatever. And this is like years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, he sounds a lot like me in the way he thinks and talks about stuff. But he was talking about how a lot of people, according to like some cases of Buddhism, like some religious spiritual aspects of like Buddhism and other religions that are kind of like that, is people, they get so scared. Listen to this, that like you're supposed to kind of like wait and kind of like just see what happens in the astral world. But he said people get so scared of being detached from their physical bodies that they will try to jump into the next incarnation as quickly as they can, instead of meditating and like taking the time to realize that you're an almighty being in that realm or whatever. And I was like, I found that very interesting. I've kind of heard that, but never in the way he phrased it. How they're so petrified to be outside their physical form that they just jump right into the next one too quickly.
I couldn't help but think there the whole time you said that, when you were saying like, oh, I discovered him, I was listening to him and I was like, hey, he sounds a lot like me. And I just thought of that scene from fucking, is it The Water Boy? Where he's like, hey, my mama says that too. Oh, no, mama's the same.
yeah. So is it with the Colonel Sanders dude?
I can't remember. I don't. It is Waterboy, I think, or is it Happy Gilmore?
I think
It's
that's
one of those
Waterboy.
fucking movies. They're all the
Waterboy's
same
definitely
movie.
one where he like loves his mama.
Yeah, no, it's that one then.
Mama. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just kind of funny because like I don't know. There's stuff like that like that's why I like their. I don't listen to Joe Rogan that often. Like I don't keep up with any of his shit. It's impossible.
I used to be like super into Joe and like all the guests he had on. He created like kind of a group there that I was like super into. And when he first started podcasting, especially, like I was big into it. And obviously I've always been into MMA and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
So like
true.
when he had Eddie
Makes
Bravo
sense.
and stuff on,
Oh yeah,
and then like I'd hear, yeah, like I used to love listening to him because
deep in the rabbit
like
hole.
even I know like a lot of the stuff he goes on about is ridiculous, but I used to love when him and Eddie would be on a show together, and Eddie would just go off about these
My
conspiracies, and he
favorite.
always had like the details of
Oh, I
like these
know.
wild fucking conspiracies.
My favorite podcast of all time will be any episode of Joe Rogan that Alex Jones is on.
Oh well,
Where he just like lets
yeah.
loose and gets drunk, and it's like, this is amazing. It's like the best thing in the entire
Was it
world. Hearing him go
9/11
off.
that he had him on? And it was him,
I think,
Eddie, and
yeah.
Alex.
And
That
then
was
he's like,
literally
choke
my
me out, Eddie, choke me out. Like, I'm like, whoa, bro. You're
such a good
Wow.
episode. Like, and he's like, I need to piss and all, and it's just like so ridiculous.
It's my favorite thing in the world to watch is Alex Jones get drunk, because it's like, and he jokes about it on his show. He's like, I use this to suppress all of my thoughts because I have all, like, because he knows a lot of shit. People can say
I'm
you
kind
don't
of
have to
surprised that
like
they're
him.
dead, you know.
Yeah, and you don't have to like him. You know what I mean? And like, you don't have to like. And I've said this on another, like, on when I was on Class Horrorcast, a recent deep dive we did. It's like, you can still enjoy the show and not like all of my opinions. Like, we don't have to agree on everything to like, to still have enjoyment in things and to be friends with people and stuff like that. Like, I have friends that we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. We have to see eye to eye on at least some things. You know, if you're too far on the other side of things, I don't think I can hold a conversation with you, because you live in an echo chamber of lies and hypocrisy. So I always bring up, because it literally is. It's people like yelling this stuff that they think is factual when it's not. It's just something they've been heard on the internet, or they said to themselves, or somebody. It's mostly what somebody else said to them, and they take it as a fact. And I've like purposely tried to I don't like fact checkers, because that's the modern day 1984 shit. But I try to like look things up, and one thing I've always said, and for the fans out there too, is I don't trust anything at all. So that's why I have an advantage, because I don't trust any side or any person or any, like, I don't even trust David Icke. Okay, I think that he knows some shit, but I don't think he's completely correct, and I think he does put a spin on things to an extent. But I do think that he's got his fingers on the pulse. They're deep inside the rabbit hole, you know?
You're deep inside David Icke.
Yeah, 2 pink and 1 to stink, bro. 2
Ugh.
pink, 1 to stink. I hope to have him on one day, so I love you, bro. In depictions, he is shown having a tall black hat, almost like the Hat Man, and is tall and thin in body, and sounds like, other creepy shadow apparitions that people may have known already. Most frightening, perhaps, is that he carries the bodies of Native women and men, and I guess children too, on his arms. So all of his victims are like on his arms. It's kind of creepy. It's like his, that like flubby fat chicks get, and it's like,
So in this part of the world, I don't know if you've ever heard of this term, but we call those flarms.
flabby arms.
Yeah, so you get your flarms that you can like do that with.
Yeah. Fucking, and they
Or
fly
bingo
away.
wings for like the old ladies that have the bingo wings when they're
I've
shouting
heard
bingo.
wings. Yeah. All the Karens fly away and like,
It's
fuck
like
you, fuck
so
you.
fucking gross.
So it's weird. These are his victims, and he keeps them with him wherever he goes, just wanting to find new people to add to his collection. Pretty cool. Recently, Walking Sam has been very active according to South Dakota Native American communities, based on the fact that there has been a huge spike in suicide attempts in the last decade. In December of 2015, there had been 103 suicide attempts on the reservation, where the Oglala Loka tribe. I'm so sorry, everybody. Oglala. It's Oglala.
I'm not even attempting.
Oglala. Lakota tribe lives sorry everybody, since December of the previous year. It literally, to my English brain, says Oglala. It's spelt the same way as how you would say that too, so I apologize. Obviously there's the other native tribes that was supposed to be hit the hardest by these suicide attempts, many of which happened in groups. In fact, the number could be possibly even higher. One local claimed that there had been more than 200 suicide attempts in only 3 months. There are fewer than 40,000 people living on the reservation. Luckily, only 9 of the attempts have been proven successful. But those victims have been very young. One of them was merely 12 years old, and none of those who died were over 24. Of course, these losses weighed heavily on the trial, I'm sure, and the attempts, have kept coming in more recent years. Pretty scary. But
What if?
what if it's what if they look like this? Should we let them do it?
I was gonna say, what if it's actually like either someone from the tribe or the tribe themselves killing these, and they're just using
Oh
the
yeah, for an
walking Sam
excuse.
as like an excuse.
So all the audio listeners, I brought up. People are not gonna like this, but I just brought up a couple images of some emo kids. Hey, and the thing is, I was emo once, and
Same. I was just gonna say that.
I
I was
definitely
just
did that
checking to see
thing.
was I in
Yeah,
a picture.
yeah, I definitely did some stuff to my wrist that I shouldn't have done at the time. It's like for attention is horizontal, for results is vertical, and like I did that stupid shit. I was very emo. I'm telling you, and I'm gonna find photos of this stuff, and we're gonna do it for a Patreon episode. But I wore makeup up to my my eyebrows, and it was just this thing of being a rebel and doing stuff that I wasn't allowed to do, and like that would I got suspended for wearing that shit and like having this big freaky black hair and just looking like a fucking loser, and it was just it
Same.
was about being a rebel, right? Doing something I hated authority, so if you told me not to do it, I probably would go do it. And this is why my whole life, if people don't understand, I've been ridiculed a lot. When the first time one of my girlfriends did it and made it like look like Sonny Moore from First to Last, now he's known as Skrillex, and I showed up and my friends were all in a group skateboarding and they were falling on the ground laughing hysterically. And I was like, fuck you guys, I don't care, I look cool.
Isn't it weird though when like you're like that, you just don't see it.
No, I know. And the funny thing is, like, chicks used to think I was a hot emo kid, so fuck you guys. Like that guy Thomas or whatever the fuck I would go by back then. It's like, looks pretty hot in that gay makeup. so, so weird. Weren't you also emo?
Oh, that I was literally as we've been talking here, I've been trying to scroll through my phone to see
Oh, that'd be so fun.
dude,
I
they're
literally look
absolutely
like one of these kids. These images they were showing, I looked almost worse, like even more emo. I kind of missed that time. You didn't like, after my generation. Really, you don't see it. You still see goth kids and some punk kids, but you don't see it what it was. Literally in grade 7 and 8 and stuff like that, when I was growing up, almost, I don't know, there was like 20-30% of the school was emo. And then went to high school, you're
yeah.
like, oh, I gotta change this. I'm not gonna get
Yep.
beat up. So these were not individual acts either. Most of these suicide attempts began with distributing posts online. Elders and parents began to find Facebook groups of the youth on the reservation where they would share unaliving techniques. I got to kind of try to dance that line and talk about killing themselves together, almost as if it was some after-school activity, which is creepy. Very weird. These were videos talking about tying nooses, videos encouraging self-harming behavior, and even simple messages like "Go do it, go do it, just do it." It's they're sharing the Shia LaBeouf meme. Just do it.
I like I don't know the thing about like the whispering and stuff. I don't know.
Have you ever heard any voices in your head? Have you ever heard a whisper?
No, I wouldn't say so, but I've definitely like my own voice has been like I have a constant like internal dialogue with myself. Where I'm like,
I think
fucking idiot.
everybody does. Everybody does. Everyone has that like thing in their head that like you're not going to be successful, you're a loser, whatever it is. It could be anything. People like your worst and biggest enemy is yourself, and it always will be. And you have to overcome that self-doubt because who cares what other people think?
I
As long as you
remember
care about yourself.
when my kid like first discovered that, like we were
Self-doubt.
no, but like we were I don't know what we were doing one day, and he was like, we're just like sitting there. I don't know if we're like having ice cream or something. We had went for a walk, and he's like, "Dad, do you have that voice in your head?" And I'm like, What do you mean?" And he's like right now, if I do this, He's like, I just said something to myself, but you can't hear it. And I'm like, yeah, everyone has that son. I'm like trying to like explain to him like the concept of like
Show him KRS-One talking about it. He's like,
show him the walking Sam and be like, that's who's talking to you, son, if you don't go to bed right now.
yeah, that's so scary. No, but like our KRS-One, if anyone has known this, he did a talk at like I think like a university, but he talks about he's holding up a Monster energy drink, and he's like, everybody say this without saying it. Like, don't open your mouth, think about it. And then he's like, did everyone just say the word, it was a rock star energy drink? He's like, did you say rock star? And everyone's like, yeah. And he was like, and you heard it, right? And like, yeah. And it's like, everyone has that inside, that self-dialogue. And he was like, that is the spiritual essence. That's who you are beyond this. That is the rock star. You are. And he goes into this whole spiel about how we are rock stars and kind of like saying that we're gods in our own right and that most people don't understand how to use that. And then he start talking about the Anunnaki, something that a kid could listen to, and you just have to explain some aspects of it, but it's nothing bad about what he says. He's just talking about how we exist beyond this, and it's that inner dialogue, that consciousness that exists within inside all of us is our connection to whatever God is and stuff. It's pretty cool.
It is absolutely mental when you think about it.
It's wild. It's fucking weird. And then that's why I'm like, entities can hear you think. Like entities that exist beyond our eyesight or spiritual guides, who knows, even the reptilians or, dark entities or positive entities can probably hear our thoughts if they exist on a higher level of physical being or a lower level. Because when it's lower, it's not like it's 2D. It's like a darker aspect, darker realm that they exist in, like the walking Sam. So it is pretty strange, but this sort of thing of sharing unaliving yourself techniques and all this stuff, and kids encouraging each other to do it. It's kind of crazy, and also meant that even if a youth in the community didn't actually attempt to unalive themselves, they still might be having those thoughts. Because everyone does have those thoughts. Everyone in the entire world. I don't know who hasn't, unless you're like an unempathetic sociopath, like some of these people in power that are not human, in my opinion. But if you're a human being, everyone has had that thought of like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done. I don't need to be here. And like, everyone's had those thoughts.
You can't really make this out that well, but this is I could find right now. I haven't been able to let this go since we were.
Gotta zoom it, pull it closer to the. You gotta like put it way up to the camera. Bro, I was so much worse, but you definitely.
Oh no, but that's like super tame. Like if I could get actual photographs, they're absolutely.
Oh, man. It was like just pitch black hair. Oh yeah, it's so weird, man. We're like a replica of each other, just on the other side of the world. If you find there's like.
We need to do that something actually for a Patreon. We need to find those old photos of ourselves.
I told my mom I need those. On top of that, there's also creepy incidents involving a different Facebook post. An image was shared of nooses hanging from trees near a small community of only about 1,000 people. The tribal police later said they believed the nooses were left as an invitation, as if encouraging individuals from the communities to hang themselves, which is fucked up. That's kind of scary. Whoever left that, and this idea that like these tulpas, these things that we manifest in reality, like Slenderman or some of the other stuff, where they're not real, but then they manifest in reality because people truly believe in them. It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. Like maybe the reptilians were never a thing, and then human being. But when we get to the episode, it's just like all these. And go back to and listen to the episode that me, Billy, and Anton went off about, and they're just like making fun of all my theories. But it was still enjoyable. It's this idea that they've existed throughout all of our history and stuff like that. But it could be the same kind of thing where it's like you think about something so much where you end up manifesting it into reality. Pretty weird. Pretty fucking weird.
This dude is freaky though. I didn't. Yeah.
Scary looking dude, man. So, elders and adults within the community, they brushed it off as nothing. At the beginning, this urban legend, like it's just some folklore. And then more and more people were willing to bring up Walking Sam as a potential contributor to it, contributing to the high rate of suicide within these certain tribes. At meetings, they discussed his presence and have noted that more people claim to have seen him recently. They warn to stay away and not to walk the streets at night because his spirit is a dangerous one. In one case, an adult woman contacted government officials to ask for help with dealing with Walking Sam. She went as far as to give a description of the spirit, tall, with a hat. She wanted police to patrol to come out and watch for him because she claimed they could pick it up on police scanners. It's pretty bizarre. So, still, why Walking Sam seeks out youths and convinces them to kill us? Why does he do this? Why does he convince kids to unalive themselves? One answer might have to do with the fact that he's lonely. He wants people to join him in his lonely astral world, you know? In one account of his tale, Walking Sam is a spirit who has been punished with walking the earth for all eternity for some reason. And maybe he's alone, man. He's a lonely guy. With all the spirits attached to his arm like some flappy ass fat chicks. Mean. Yeah, everybody love everybody. If you look like Lizzo, I feel bad for you. You should just go do something. Just kidding. Kidding. I'm not the Walking Sam. Don't mistake me.
No, you're not kidding.
This
my voice in my head there that nobody else heard.
yeah. This punishment has left him without anyone to talk to or be with, and he is beginning to seek out his own companionship, you know? To do this, he must lure people away from their other companionships, you know, which is why he tries to tell teens that they're not worthy of having friends. Young people tend to be more susceptible, so he targets them because they might be looking for friends. Like that very viral video. You see how that kid like rings the doorbell? That guy, I'm just looking for friends. I don't really have any friends, you know. And it's just like it got like millions of likes and tons of views. It's just so funny the technology we have of like I don't have one of those doorbell things. I don't know. I don't really want one. And there's some of the weird shit that I'm sure people catch now. Like seems a little frightening. I'd rather not know. You know.
I like to, and it's completely lighthearted compared to what we're talking about. But like that video you're talking about. Things like that are like, yeah, they're like the one side or aspect of the internet that I love. Like I had seen there was a chick who posted about her boyfriend who streams like every other night or something, and like he loves his gaming PC and he loves streaming.
Yeah.
And like he either has nobody in it or he has like one person in the chat, but the dude is still giving it like
on Twitch.
He's still giving it everything. Like he still shows up every other night or whatever, and he's like doing this thing. And she posted on TikTok, and this shit went like mad viral. And like overnight, he got like 16,000 followers on Twitch.
Can I convince? Like we're doing fairly well. You know, I think we do pretty good, and we have like thousands of downloads all the time. But the thing is, maybe if I convince Chelsea to do that, be like make me sound like a pathetic slub.
Yeah, just be like, look, my boyfriend is like fucking special needs, and he's like. Sits up in his room.
I'll yeah. Someone's gonna get I'm not gonna do what I was going to do.
I know what you were gonna do. So.
The one day, what was I doing? I was dressed up for a stream and I was playing a game, and Chelsea walked in and filmed me, and I was like, "What? It's for the stream," and I like looked like ridiculously stupid, and it was just for fun. I don't know what game I was playing. I was just playing some goofy game. And I was like, oh, like, why are you looking at me like that? She's like, nice outfit. I'm like,
but even so, I
sorry, your girlfriend hates you. You should fucking kill yourself.
I jumped into that dude's Twitch stream last night just randomly for like 5 minutes, and like he had like 295 people in the chat. He was getting a shit ton of like donations and stuff.
Somebody
and like, yeah, like, but like I was looking at, I was like,
a mentally ill friend that believes in lizard people, and he needs more friends.
Isn't it wild though how like something so simple can just like change everything just like that?
That's why, like, I've all these people that follow me on my TikTok account, like 30,000 on one, 26,000 on the other. And if just a portion of them could just come and help the show and promote it and, like, you know, tell their friends about it and share it, give us 5-star rating reviews, I could probably be living off this at this point. And even like people are like, why don't you like make money off TikTok? It's because in Canada we don't allow that stuff, which is crazy. They that's why people move to the States and even places like horrible California, right? Places where you can have a little more success at being like a content creator, which in Canada it's like, oh, we wanna spread all this Canadian content. Now we pass this bill to censor everything, and you can't even get. I just got yesterday a thing on Facebook where it's like Facebook will you soon not be able to see news on Facebook or Instagram in Canada, and I'm like, and people are like, wow, that's crazy, that's happening. I'm like, I warned you. This is authoritarianism. The first thing they do is they censor the opposition. People are dictators within history. I've studied this stuff. I'm really watching How to Become a Tyrant on Netflix, but I've also read into this stuff for a very long time. I read a lot of different books about this shit. And it's like, this is one of the first things they do is they silence people and make sure people don't see the news and especially the truth about what's going on. And then they put their own propaganda out there. And like, if you study Nazi Germany, it's very similar in the way it began. You know, I want people to make that quite clear. It didn't start with concentration camps, so everybody knows. It started with silencing people, controlling the narrative.
It's that thing, like it's divide and conquer, and it can be done in so many different ways. I think people don't even realize.
The government is trying to kill you, and you don't even notice. They poison your water and your food and your sky, everything.
So
everyone should just unalive themselves right now.
Oddly enough, no, you always have to have hope. Always have to have hope. Oddly enough, what stories are known of the Walking Sam and the Stick people aren't always negative. And like they might be aggressive and violent, if necessarily, yes, but not exactly evil, I guess. Evil. Did you like that post I put on everyone? Strangebrew.podcast. You'll find some funny stuff on there on Instagram. I did a reface. I did some couple of me and you, so just wait till we put out some certain episodes. But it was me and Billy, and Billy was Dr. You, and I was mini me on the scooter. It was very funny. I love
They're
those,
freaky looking.
They are so strange. It's so fun. I want to start using that for episode ideas, especially for like your show and stuff like that. Is like putting our faces on certain things to kind of like draw in the audience. And the more that people get to know us and in our personalities, the more we sell the show off, and you understand who we are, and that this is all.
That's the key,
All
guys.
fun.
You have to just like us, and even if you don't like us, well, you have to like us anyway because we want loads of money and we want to
I want to live
be
off
able to.
this.
Yeah, I want to live off this. I want to
And
do
if you
what I
don't, I'm
want to
going to
do.
send the Walking Sam after you, and you're going to have incessant. Is that a word? Incessant. You're just going to have constant chatter in your ear.
Go listen to Stranger Podcast. If you don't, you're a fucking loser, and you don't deserve anything anymore.
Charlie sounds like he's having fun.
Yeah, he definitely is. He loves his squeaky ass toys. And an account from Pine Ridge, Lakota medicine man, taken in 1983, he's spoken of almost affectionately and depicted as something that is usually part of life. He is even a natural part of the forest, as he is an old forest spirit meant to protect the land from evil rather than spread it. If people encroach on his territory, he defends it with deadly results. Other than that, he is just another spirit to be respected. Because the whole thing is about respecting spirits, right? There is a big man standing there, ever waiting, ever present, like a coming of a new day. He is both spirit and real being, but he also he glides through the forest like a moose with big antlers, as though the trees weren't there. I know him as my brother. I can't do an indigenous accent. I would love to be able to do that, but I want him to touch me. Just a touch. A blessing, something I could bring home to my son and grandchildren. That I was there.
Weird.
That I approached him and he touched me. I think that's the medicine man talking about how he wants the Walking Sam to touch him. And he wants his Walking Sam to touch his sons and grandchildren. A little weird,
but-
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
It's a little strange there. Bill Clinton's so weird. I want this spirit to touch me, and then I'm going to go home so I can bring him home. It says so I can bring him home to my sons and grandchildren. It's like, look what I brought home. It's just like this skinny, emancipated creature. His name is William.
What a
And
weird
like, what
hat.
the fuck is that thing? Sorry, Billy. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's fucking, that's weird. If Walking Sam if his existence is possible, only from like a cryptozoology, like study of creatures and folklore and legend, kind of this standpoint, it might be hard to determine what Walking Sam is. If he is a cryptid, he's clothed, has a hat, resembles a man, though may sometimes have no features. He might show similarities to like the Slenderman, you know. Ooh yeah,
That thing is strange looking.
erotic horror. Technically, that's what he was going for. It was a nice erotic story where people like talk about like there's like stuff on Reddit I've heard of like Slenderman, like what's that called when they write porno? Like erotica literature or whatever. And it's just like there's stuff about like the Slenderman and stuff, and I'm like, that's fucking weird, people. It's like people that like are writing stuff about like Harry Potter and like making it sexual on the internet, and then people
It's
like,
the world we live in.
oh yeah, people got nothing else to do now that we're not hunter gatherers and we get our food from a supermarket. It's just like,
And it's all big processed, pus-filled
Yes.
rubbish.
keeps you depressed because your serotonin, things that make you happier in your gut. So if you're eating shit all the time, everybody out there, you're gonna feel depressed. If you put bad things in your body, they're gonna make you feel bad. Just like if you allow the Walking Sam to insert himself inside your life. Yeah. So he's like kind of like a boogeyman. For indigenous people, he would be like a boogeyman. To me, that's kind of a similar into the legend in the realm of what he is kind of thing, right? But in lore, he is actually often associated with Bigfoot. Not only is Bigfoot often tied to Native American legend, which we're going to do a big Bigfoot deep dive eventually. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably do a Shame from Choirs of Reality. I want to do like it justice. Have a all day thing, 3-4 hours, and just like, there's so much layers to it. But
I want to dress up for that one.
you're going to get a Bigfoot costume? I
want to dress up as like a Bigfoot hunter.
Oh, that's very funny. That's a great idea. And eventually I want to get a design done of all of us as cryptids, but like in like almost like superhero pose. I've toyed around with it, and I really wanted Billy to be skinny Bigfoot just because it would look unnatural. Because Bigfoot's supposed to be this big hulking creature, but just make it like what's the thing, what's that Will Ferrell movie where they meet the lizard people? Land of the Lost or whatever.
Yeah.
And they have like Chaka or whatever, and Chaka's like technically like a skinny Bigfoot creature. That's like Billy as a cryptid.
That would be hilarious looking.
We gotta figure it out. I want to think of some very amusing designs that the fans will like to rep. And obviously, you can get the new logo now. It's pretty awesome. I love wearing that stuff around. So there's obviously been sightings of this famous cryptid in Dakotas. And where these indigenous tribes live, and even some of these people within the indigenous tribe sometimes refer to it as a walking Sam, or like as you said, a stovepipe hat Bigfoot. Just strange in general. Is he hairy then? Can they tell? Can they see? Is he hairy? This is a freaky image, though. He's a freaky looking dude. And there's like different images of him, but these are the ones that I felt were more prevalent. And there's not much about this guy out there.
Even that scared the shit out of me. If I seen that last one.
Seeing this guy that's walking through the woods?
Yeah, I'd shit my pants.
Okay, if you zoom in.
Look at his.
It kind of looks like Billy.
Look at his face.
I know. Does that look like Billy? I wish I could bring up an image of Billy so everyone could see. I don't want to be. It's not shitting on Billy. It's just because Billy is a character. I love that dude. Even it's just like him and Brett that is now being slowly kind of just introduced to the show as kind of like a guest, because Brett's an interesting dude to me. And even all my friends we were like that didn't know him, we went out to the bachelor party, we're like sitting around and they were like listening to him, and I was like tripping balls on mushrooms. And it's like talking about the government and stuff like that, and then he's talking about like his heritage and his life and some of the thought processes that he has about the world and stuff like that. And my buddies were like super interested, and I told Brett that, and Brett's like, I'm just a fucking regular dude. He's like, whatever. And him and Billy just like, I couldn't believe how much they were like got along, but we're like getting along in like a like they're ripping each other apart, like saying the most horrendous shit to each other, and it was like making everyone else laugh. But I was like, deep down Billy's like fucking crushed inside. It's like the walking Sam is like, go do it.
Poor Billy. Poor
I don't
Billy.
think I think he's got thick skin. He worked in he was a cook. He doesn't give a shit. I got a thick skin in this world.
A cook?
Yeah, he was a cuck for the walking Sam.
Oh, nice.
Did his bidding for him. So though it doesn't explain encouraging teens to off themselves, you know, if it's Bigfoot, because Bigfoot seems like a happy creature. As long as you leave him the fuck alone, he seems like he won't bash you against a tree like he's Jason and Jason X, you know. 'Cause I feel like that's what he does to people. If you fuck with him, he like come back to your camp and zip you up in your sleeping bag and just bash you against a tree.
My favorite thing ever.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. That has to come when we go full circle. We have a lot of deep dives to do before we reach that precipice. Yeah.
That really needs to come.
Yes, come. So, of course, there is always the chance that the walking Sam is representation of something less tangible and maybe much more serious. Poverty and oppression is a constant worry for obviously indigenous people, especially these people that are on the Pine Ridge Reservation. And many children, you know, see their parents turn to drugs and alcohol and may experience abuse. Children have been taken away from their parents, you know, by social services, and many youth experience racism on a daily basis. With all that's going on, depression is a terrible problem with many teens. And obviously you have things that we'll eventually get to, which is probably going to be a sad episode, but I do want to dive into the dark aspects of residential schools because Canada played such a prominent role in that. And I used to live in this city called Brantford, which is like a smaller, very, very shitty Toronto. Like it's way smaller than Toronto, but like it just has a high crime rate and a lot of drug use. And at one point, like I've said, due to populace, like it had like almost a high crime rate as like Chicago, but it's a very small city, very small. So it's this idea that how much crime was going on for such a small place was pretty crazy. And they used to like, speaking of the walking Sam and shadow people, the downtown was dead. Like there used to be, it's cool because back then I used to have punk shows. I wasn't I shouldn't have been going, but I was. There's a place called the Ford Plant. That's where the punk shows happen. I used to go to this place called Jay's Place all the time, and that's why like I fell down the stairs drunk. Like I'd cut open eyebrow to be like go to the hospital and shit. Some horrible shit that happened to me because we had Mickeys, a bunch of different Mickeys, like vodka, gin, whiskey, and we just passed them around, not knowing what it was going to do to us. And you know, she'd go down that, and they would have like all these closed down businesses, so they thought it was a great idea to like paint shadow people on the walls, like playing a trumpet and playing a saxophone, and it was like it was like shadow people, look like black figures. Not like black people, black figures, like an outline, like a shadow thing of like people playing instruments to try to like bring some life to it, but it only made it creepier, like downtown.
Would you ever move again?
To there?
No, well, not to there, but anywhere in general.
Probably not. But like, you know, realistically, I would like to if I could get out of Canada, but we can't because we have family always holds like, you know, the true important thing is family, and like, you know Chelsea and you know my family, her family is my life, right? So that's my home. But I would love to go to fucking Texas. It's a big comedy scene down there. It seems free, and you know, if there's a place like that I would love to go. You know. I love to see Ireland, but not for long.
What about within Canada? Like, would you ever move to a city or move around anywhere, or are you just kind of
No, I like
happy
where
in the
I'm at. I'm
location?
kind of in a perfect spot because I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, but not too far from nowhere. I would like to go more into the middle of nowhere if I could. Like, we're near where Brett lives, where he's not far. He's only half an hour away, but it's like not even like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But he's in it where it's like surrounded by farms. Like just tons of huge farm property, and it just you're kind of concealed a little more, like in the middle of nowhere, you know. And the way that the shit's going, like the cities will be targeted first, so people have an understanding of like the 15-minute city stuff and the agenda, all that stuff. That's for an episode for another day, but it gets brought up, you know, when we talk about this stuff because it's relevant. It's what's going on, and years to come. Who knows if people like, you know, if people are listening in 20, 30 years and being like, what a weird time they existed in. And like, yeah, hopefully it's a little better.
If
or not
it's
worse.
if it's 2030, the time you're listening to this, and you're sitting in your little underground bunker,
Yeah.
and the world is absolutely fucked, it's like 28 days later. Just
Just, you know,
know
yeah.
we should record a message like fucking Will Smith and I Am Legend,
Yeah.
where it's
Just-
like I'll be at the East Pier at 12 p.m. every day.
yeah. We'll do something like that. I'll be jerking off on this cliff and coming onto the heads of eagles because I'm so bored. I have nothing else to do. Because I'll be like Robin Williams in Jumanji, where I'm like wearing a bunch of plant life as a fucking outfit. I want to do that for an episode. This is like the Bushman kind of thing. It's like so funny, like those ghillie suits.
Would you like to be the last person on Earth?
No, I don't need that. I know there's something beyond this place. I don't have a pessimistic atheist view on life where, it must be a sad existence to have no ethics and morals. It's like, we have morals. What are you talking about? It's like, no, you don't really care, because if you think there's nothing after this, then you have no consequences and lessons to learn if you're just not going to be here, So fuck those people. Just kidding. If you're an atheist or you're listening, to each is their own, I guess. Seems like a sad existence. The average life expectancy is much lower for Native Americans than other races in the United States, and there is little mental health support, I think, for anyone nowadays. On the Pine Ridge Reservation, it could be that the Walking Sam is the personification of these looming issues for these tribes and the depression of the entire people made real, which is a good, interesting take, and I kind of agree that could be a factor. And this idea, right, and that they should be putting not even money, but just like they have elders and they have people within the community. You somehow set something up where they're able to create a little community where almost like an AA club. I'm not saying because they're drunk and alcoholics, but I'm saying just for people to like express themselves in the way they feel, and that if anyone out there is thinking about it, don't do it. Like, there's so much more to life, and this one moment doesn't need to last a lifetime. That's a good quote. I can't remember the exact quote, but like this one sad moment or this sad week or month or year, whatever you think it is, it doesn't need. Don't make a temporary problem an absolute solution.
That's a good one. I
So.
like that.
So, it is noted, obviously, with these people can feel, remember, and express pain that they experience, and, they need something like that. And the area has been long steeped in tragedy and bloodshed over centuries, so many people of the tribe believe that these youth are feeling the pain and suffering of the land and maybe experiencing it for themselves, which is an interesting idea, right? That the pain it has residency into the ground. You know what I mean? That's just like that, like almost like a residual haunting. That like that torment is like encapsulated into the ground and into the area. Pretty interesting.
There's a lot of people who believe in that as well from like different cultures, so there may actually be something to that.
I think it might be possible. Obviously, given the sad history of the land, and this feeling is thought to be enough for people to contemplate, that S word. So just as many youths are sharing, unaliving related content online, they also seem to be trying to commit suicide in groups, which is a weird thing. Elders and parents have found numerous nooses, mainly unused, hung from trees, which is just frightening in general. Teachers have caught wind of and put a stop to these groups of girls who had pleaded to kill themselves together, or pledged to kill themselves together, which is like women don't do it as often as men do, but they do it. But it's always chicks that are like into that kind of weird witchy shit. I'm a guy and I was into it, but the Slenderman story, which we'll eventually cover. But it's always like girls that are like very into those dark like urban legend things and kind of go through with some of that shit. It's like weird.
Yeah, that's true. More often than not.
Danny, come play with us and do it. Sorry. I'm always going to try to make light of dark situations. It's going to happen. So my brain works. I am only honest in life. So, frighteningly, many of these efforts to stop the packs, these groups of sad emo teens, attempts to have come in just the nick of time, I guess. In one case, a pastor for the tribe named John Tubles, not Wumble, John Tubles, okay, became aware of the group's suicide. It was planned in a nearby forest, which is crazy. They're like planning it out. They have a map drawn. This is where we kill ourselves, right here. Okay? They circle it. He gathered other adults to rush to the scene where he was able to take down nooses that the teens had already hung and sat and counseled the youth who were already there to commit the act. That's crazy. They're like holding hands, skipping through the forest, being like, oh, we're going to do this together. Together forever.
It's
Come play with us, Danny.
That's like that thing. Like, is it a shared delusion, or I often wonder about situations like that when there's multiple people involved, because I think it's very easy. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but you could try and explain something away. Like, if I done something like that, let's say, and I had
Yeah.
left a note or whatever, and I had said like, "Oh, this fucking person or this thing told me to do it," but then when you've got like multiple cases or groups of people, it's like, how?
It's
Hold on a
very weird.
second. Yeah,
Like this
hold on a
shared
second. How's that work?
consciousness
Yeah.
idea. It's a weird thought, and it's just weird, and it makes me think that like who knows if this entity exists, or I see, and I've looked so deeply and heavily into the whole idea of like negative beings and entities like say the reptilians, or like I say on the show most times, like these dark entities, because like it might not be a reptilian, but from all the research I've done and looked into our ancient culture and how often there is snake worship, which I actually want to do a whole episode about snake worship, and stuff like that. It is so prominent, and it's like, what if these things are? Because I've heard they masquerade as angels, as celebrities in your dreams, and stuff like that, and like these weird aspects of like the whole lore behind the reptilians, because that's my fucking shit, bro. It's like my go-to thing. It's like it's my jam. It's my peanut butter and jam, son. And so like I always look at that aspect of it as like maybe they're just existing on a different frequency. People see them as shadows, but they're actually living beings that exist on a different dimension, and people only see them in shadow form because their brains can't operate on that level of existence, so they only see them in shadow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's scary that they're like, and they feed off of soul energy and darkness and depravity and degeneracy, and they're probably having a great old time with a certain community that is very loud recently. They're probably loving that whole fucking breakdown of like people being angry about they got a fucking dick or not, or
Oh, that's who you're talking about. I didn't realize who you were referencing.
you didn't clue in. Well, it could be a lot of different.
Of course I
you
did.
did. Yeah, but I just say like just because, and I've said this on the podcast before, I think, and I want to do a video about it, but it very much seems like we're celebrating the 7 deadly sins. And I'm not religious, but speaking to some of my Christian friends, because I'm spiritual, I think there's aspects of religion that is good to take from, and also think there's bad things to take from it. And you learn and you understand and you form your own opinion. That's why I've like said to some of my friends that are like Christian or whatever, I was like, you want to be a free agent like me? I'm a fucking free bird. I believe in whatever the fuck I want. I don't hold myself down to a specific belief system and never will. So I was like, it's kind of interesting, this idea, like everything we celebrate gluttony, we celebrate envy, especially with on the internet. We celebrate what's the lust, 100%. Because if you look at I want to do a video on this too. Is the flag, that certain flag, that one we celebrate pride with. You're not supposed to celebrate pride. You're not supposed to be prideful like that. And if you look at the chakras lined up, right? Someone else made this point, but I noticed this earlier, and I was like, oh, I should do a video on this. And I saw someone kind of beat me to it. Is this idea that if you look at our chakras and how our chakras align, and you have the crown chakra, and then the root chakra is red. If you look at the pride flag, it's flipped. So it means that, and to me, in my interpretation, is like your root chakra, the sexual chakra. You have your sexuality is defining your life and taking over your mind. And it's very interesting because if you look at that group, because there's not everyone that's gay or lesbian or whatever. I know we've gotten into this before. It's nothing to do with people and who they love. It has to do with them being dominated by their root sexual chakra. And being dominated by that, and that's all they are. It's all I am. And then they they freak out all the time, and it's strange to me because you shouldn't be dominated by that. That means you're addicted. It means an addiction.
Is the walking Sam Garris, right?
He's a pedo, so he can be. He dips his toe into both worlds.
I was about to get us both cancelled there very quickly. I'm so glad I took a second before I was going to say what I said.
yeah. I'm sure I can kind of picture it, but
fuck.
And I put my opinion out there on the show. This is my show, so I decided to say what I want. But like, there is things about our society, and it's not going in the right direction. And yes, everyone should have rights. I don't know what people don't have rights that I have that are in certain communities, and they shout about it. It's bizarre, in my opinion. But so luckily, Luckily, he and other adults stopped anyone from unaliving themselves. Some say that these attempts have to do with bullying, depression, racism, and other, like, obviously social issues. Others still say the Walking Sam might have his hand in these dark deeds. No matter what you think of the Walking Sam legend, the fact that these attempts, these offing yourselves attempts, are numerous and continuous, and it's difficult for various tribes to deal with. In 2015, there were only 6 mental health professionals for the entire reservation, not nearly enough to combat the epidemic of sweeping through the Pine Ridge youth. Young people of Native American communities were 3 times more likely to kill themselves. There are also financial resources, very few financial resources for these tribes in South Dakota that could reach out. And the Ogallala tribe president, John Yellow Bird Steel, that's a fucking awesome name, might I say. John Yellow Bird Steel. It's a strong name.
Doesn't even sound real.
I know it doesn't. And it's like someone got mad on our Shadow People episode. They're like, I was really excited to listen to your Shadow People episode. And then you guys started making fun of indigenous names. And I was like, we were just saying how kind of it's cool and different. And if you listen to the episode, you'll understand that we're like just kidding. It's just like, it's not, everyone takes everything so personally nowadays. It's so bizarre.
It's not real.
It's not, none of it's real. This is not even real. We're not even real. We're living in a simulation, man.
This is AI, so if we say anything that you don't like and you're trying to cancel us, this is all AI and it's not a real episode.
No, nothing is what you think it is. Everything is not real. But and that's a true statement. Is that
if it's good and it's cool and you like it, then it's actually us. But if it's something shitty or we say something out of pocket and people try to get us cancelled, then it's AI and we've been hacked. We're both in the bed asleep right now.
Yeah, 100%. So this it's this idea of like where, I don't know. It's just the way that our society is going and the way people are like, everything needs to be a problem. And especially for as much as it is weird, I'll say millennials, right? Where it's just like, you guys grew up watching South Park and stuff like that. And I think the Walking Sam is after Charlie now. So
he doesn't like all that talk.
So, Yon Yellow Steel, Birdseed, sorry, declared a state of emergency. Luckily, the administration for Native Americans ended up awarding $44 million in emergency grant money to the tribe for help with suicide prevention. Students organization and prayer chains were set up, and even now the suicide rate on the reserve is still a problem. And there is help. They obviously are help campaigns still active, and there's organizations to combat. If you want to help, whether Walking Sam is real or not, these attempts of unaliving these kids from unaliving themselves is very real, and the youth do need help. And the thing is, it's crazy because I don't know. To end this off, there's this idea, right? It's like especially after all the atrocities and the genocide of the indigenous people, right? Is that the government was like, oh, we'll just give them their own land and they can do their shit on over there. And in the eyes of the indigenous, like, great, we get our own property, do whatever we want on, no taxes or whatever But the thing is, the government, obviously, especially back then, and I still think today, considering we can't even get them clean drinking water, but we can send all this money to places overseas that are involved with child trafficking and laundering money and biotech weapons labs and all this fun stuff. And it's this idea that they segregated them and kept them away. And I go, yeah, you can come in and hang around with us, but and it's kind of interesting because I think they did it on purpose. Is that the government knew, all right, we'll give them a portion of, a couple hundreds of acres of land or whatever. They can do their own thing. And then they can do their own shit, and they keep them kind of suppressed. They didn't give them a lot of money, clean drinking water, food, all that stuff. Like, oh, no, you guys got to deal with that on your own now. After we destroyed your lives, after we killed your hundreds and thousands of your family members, and all that stuff that contributed to, colonization, which has happened. Everyone has been enslaved, every single race of person, if you understand history and all that stuff. But it is, to me, it's sad. It's sad because I do really respect indigenous culture. Yeah, I make jokes here like that. I make jokes about fucking everything. But I do respect that culture a lot more than others, to be honest.
No, you don't. Why are you telling lies?
The Walking Sam's coming after me. And you guys don't really have that shit in Ireland, do you? Like indigenous people used to have the travelers and shit, like the fucking.
Oh God, yeah, and nobody. Like I don't care anymore. But like nobody cares for them.
I'm
Literally
sure they don't.
nobody. And I don't even mean that in like a, oh, those poor people. Like,
Yeah.
if you were to ask, I would say probably 99.9% of like the normal population of Ireland, they would be like, I wish we could kill that entire group of people.
Don't say that. That was AI.
It's true.
Yeah, but, or maybe just like do what the Spaniards and the colonizers did, and just put them on their own reservations, and then just put like a steel gated wall up.
Just kill them all.
Don't say that. Why you say it shit like that? Gonna get us taken
AI.
down off YouTube.
AI.
Don't say that. No, we gotta attempt to dance that line. We have to.
So I can't be saying like loads of buzzwords anymore then.
No, we have to dance that fine line. That stuff can be saved for Patreon. Then we can dedicate a whole episode of you telling everyone the certain types of groups that you would like to euthanize.
We're gonna have to do the same with my show as well, because I can't even monetize videos anymore.
What? Really?
Well, like you get like that shit about like limited ad revenue due to like,
Because of what I say? Fucking Christ, man.
I don't even know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's because we curse or what it is, but I'm like
It could be cursing, which is weird.
there's no explanation.
I don't know how to fucking say fuck, man. I don't know how to do that. And that's what I've had people be
Same.
like, well, you guys swear a lot. And then I've also had people like, oh, I love, it's just a natural conversation. I'm just speaking to you how I would speak to my friends, So fuck that. Fuck that shit. Fuck. Where's that one?
Cancelled.
Wait, I should still have it. Give me a second, this stupid board.
They say it's The Rock or something.
Don't, be careful of the walking Sam. If you hear any whispers, don't do it.
Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
All right, I have to find this. Come on. I know it's on here somewhere.
But you don't say that.
Damn it! I swear to God. There's I used to have. I swear to God, I still had it. I used to have. It's like Will Ferrell, and he was like, I never say fuck. I've never fucking said that shit. It's fucking funny. I used to have that. Weird. It's gone now. I gotta fucking update my shit. I don't know. That's a random one. All right, let's bring it to a close. I never know how to end these things. That sounds awful on my end. It sounds like
So bad. That's like the stock one.
We are laughing.
All right, everybody. Obviously, if everybody love everybody. Yeah, fuck it. Who cares? So the chat on Twitch. If seriously, I'm gonna play after this episode.
With a Planet of the Apes doll stuck up his asshole.
That's funny. So if I'm gonna play a nice song after this, me and Billy's suicide prevention song. It was very funny because it's a good song. We use that. You'll see what I mean after this episode. And sometimes I think that's why we won't get monetized on some episodes, because I've used beats that are more kind of famous and stuff like that. Because I don't have someone producing beats for me, so I take stuff that I like and then I just produce music from it, which is like it's just my interpretation of said beat. But I'm trying to look in more of using recent songs that are coming up should be essentially beats that I can put up on Spotify and stuff like that. Like I'm gonna see how much of my music that I can put on Spotify so people can actually listen to it. But it's funny because me and Billy did this song right either I think it was right after we released another song. We're at the end. I say I literally tell people to off themselves, and I was like David Carradine, no one cares if you breathe. It's like, all right, well, he's like, we literally just did that song and now we're doing a suicide prevention song, and I'm like, yep. So it's called Reach Out. So stay tuned for that. And if you're a fan of the show, obviously 5-star rating reviews. Get the new merch design. I'm wearing our the alien smoking a set of a bong design. It's pretty fun. And I'm going to buy. I'm gonna put it on my site just so I can buy it. I'm gonna buy a First Class Horror design. But if Aaron doesn't mind, we can throw that up on the merch site too, and then you guys can rep that stuff because to me we make a pittance compared. Eventually we'll get better at it and get someone to produce the merch that we actually make money off of, but we make a little bit of money off of it. But it's more important for me for people to wear it and to post pictures of you guys wearing it and to see that is way more important to me. So I have another episode. I thought we'd do an hour and we're almost 2 hours in, so let's end it there.
Tutti fucking fruity.
Yes. So everybody listen to the sad song that me and Billy did. Try not to laugh. Okay.
Try not to laugh.
And also, if seriously though, if you're contemplating doing self-harm or anything like that, just don't do it. There's people out there that care. Listen to Billy tell you. There's people out there that love you. Okay. All right. Adios, amigos. We love you guys if you love us. If you don't, I don't care anymore. All right, Spock.